Austrian colleague of Count Bowman, Baron Sturmer, did not receive any such instructions as his companion. While the Russian must keep himself informed of every detail, insinuate himself into the secrets, and make every effort to satisfy his sovereign's curiosity, the Austrian need not meddle in whatever was going on, and after ascertaining the presence of Napoleon on St. Helena, need only reassure himself monthly. You must, with the greatest care, avoid all relations with Napoleon Bonaparte and members of his suite, he was told. You are to reject, in a peremptory and definite manner, any proposal these people may make to you. And if they take the liberty of actual approaches, you should inform the governor immediately, unless by dispatching a commissioner, the Emperor of Austria, certain that these confidential instructions would never be disclosed, desired to gull public opinion into believing that he was interested in the fate of his son-in-law, and that in stationing an agent near him, he expected to ensure his safety and well-being. His intention was not comprehensible. He certainly had no other aim than that of receiving the continuous assurance of Napoleon's incarceration, or with the pertinent knowledge that their assistance was unnecessary. Did the Austrian oligarchs want to derive smug satisfaction from giving the impression that they also had custody of the prisoner of Europe? The commissioner appointed by Emperor Francis, like Bellman, followed a diplomatic career. The very recent elevation of his family was due to the proficiency his father had attained in Oriental languages. His published works had gained for him a post of interpreter to the Internuncio at Constantinople, and there he had enjoyed an authority like that of which Ruffin was possessed in the French interest, so much so that he himself was appointed Internuncio, raised to the nobility. In 1800, he was created baron. In 1813, his elder son, Bartholomew, was born at Constantinople in 1787, and upon returning to Vienna with his parents, he was sent to the Academy of Oriental Languages, which opened to him the career of interpreter, but he firstly worked in the office of the High Commissioner, Count Verbna, who employed him in correspondence with the French during the occupation, whence he went as interpreter to Constantinople, and in 1811 was sent as legation secretary to the Imperial Embassy at St. Petersburg. In 1812 and 1813, he accompanied Prince Schwarzenberg into Galicia in the capacity of reporter and private secretary to help the prince in his correspondence with the ministers or generals of the Allied powers, or in other like eventualities. These carried on the same duties. In 1814, was present at the Congress of Châtillon. After a fairly lengthy stay in Paris, he was appointed legation secretary at Florence, but before taking up his post, he married a young French girl to whom he had become engaged. It was said that she had been a chambermaid, which was not so, nor was it true, furthermore, that her father had the least right to a title of baron, the income of which, according to the German custom, was usually given to the daughter. This girl was called Hermance Catherine Boutet, and was barely 17. Her father, an engineer in the employ of the Ministry of War, was the son of a certain Jacques Boutet, a hatter of Loges, who in 1824 was raised to the nobility, and forthwith until his death was called Baron de Boutet. As such, he was known in Austria. When she arrived at St. Helena, Baroness Sturmer introduced no such fictions. 2 or 3 years ago, wrote Las Casas to the Emperor. A clerk in the War Office came to my house to give lessons in writing and Latin to my son. He had a daughter whom he intended to make a governess, and asked us to recommend her if ever we got the chance. Madame de Las Casas sent for her. She was pretty and altogether a most bewitching creature. From that time, Madame de Las Casas invited her now and again to our house, endeavoring to teach her things which might be useful to her. And it was she, the young Boutet girl, whose husband was appointed commissioner of SMI on October 31st, 1815, and she took the greatest care not to recognize Las Casas, who had anticipated her coming with expectations destined immediately to be shattered. This pretty young woman was most prudent, and Baron Sturmer certainly did not lacked tact and discretion, but upon his sovereign's instructions, he had brought with him a court gardener named Philip Val, entrusted with the acquisition of whatever the island of St. Helena could supply in the way of natural history, particularly botany. Of what dramas this innocent botanist was the cause. Like his Russian colleague, Baron Sturmer had a salary of only 1,200 sterling. This sum was not increased, and the St. Helena mission ruined him, at least temporarily, for he found himself spending more than 4,000 a year. However, with the exception of 2 or 3 occasions, he refrained from speaking of his real destitution, which this was practically the one topic with which his French colleague embellished his dispatches.